Leaders in Construction KSA Summit. My name is Ranju Warrier. I am the editor of Construction Week Middle East, a part of ITB Media Group. And I will be your host and moderator for today's conference. As many of you know that today's conference is a hybrid event, we have audience from across the globe who've joined us virtually to be a part of our discussions today. Thank you to everyone for attending the event physically as well as virtually. We are more than thrilled to be bringing this conference to you today. But before we start proceedings, there are a few health and safety guidelines for you to follow. Please make sure that you have your masks on at all times and whenever possible. As much as you would like to, and I know all of us do, kindly refrain from shaking hands and please make sure to not exchange business cards. Also make sure you are seated in your assigned seats and don't switch them with anyone else. Also keep a distance of 2 meters at all times. During the course of the event, if you feel unwell or show any symptoms of COVID-19, please alert a member of the staff immediately. You will then be guided to a designated room where you will receive further medical assistance. Also for our audience to note, due to safety measures, we will not have a Q&A session after every panel. However, you can send us your questions to cwcontact@itb.com and we will try to get the responses at the soonest. I repeat, it would be cwcontact@itb.com. Now that we are all set and well aware of the health and safety guidelines, let's begin the ceremony. Through our Leaders in Construction KSA Summit, we are delighted to bring together some of the most renowned names from Saudi Arabia's construction sector, who will together shed some light on the world-class developments that are currently shaping the kingdom. We are continually seeing Saudi Arabia's huge ambitions come to life through its impressive range of mega and giga projects supported by the nation's Vision 2030. And our objective as a brand and for this conference is to continue supporting the kingdom's journey through discussions as important as the ones that we are going to conduct today. Our experts over the conference will be exploring opportunities for companies who are looking to expand their businesses in Saudi Arabia. We will also look into the growth of entertainment projects in Saudi, as well as look into how the nation is creating affordable housing projects for its citizens. As part of the conference, we will also bring to the fore the role of modular construction in shaping the kingdom's construction sector. Now, as we inch closer to the start of our event, I would like to express my gratitude to our events and conference team for organizing today's event. And I cannot forget to thank our sponsors who've supported us to bring the event today. Please put your hands together for our sponsors, which includes Platinum sponsor Bawani, Legal partner Reed Smith, Gold sponsor Parsons, and Silver sponsors Hammad and Al-Mehdar law firm. Please put your hands together. Now, as we embark on a journey into a post-COVID world, we at Construction Week are positive that today's conference will be a great platform for our audience to understand in depth about the current phase of Saudi Arabia's construction sector. And on that note, I would like to kick off today's conference and invite Mr. Ibrahim A. Al-Asri, President of Al-Bawani Capital, onto the stage to deliver the keynote speech today. Please put your hands together for Ibrahim, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, everybody. Can you see me? Okay, as most of you know, that there are structural changes has already developed and also continue to develop in the Saudi contracting industry. Those are a result of the National Transformation Plan and Vision 2030, where the market is shifting towards technically sophisticated sectors. The project awards in technically sophisticated sectors is likely to increase from 24% to 51% of total project value. Even the projects itself are becoming increasingly complex and large, where average project size over USD $1 billion are going to be tripled from 2.1 to 6.6. Therefore, international competition is increasing in the local market, and especially in technically advanced sectors. International players are increasing their share in awards from 57% to 72%. And total number of players in the market is also increasing. Okay. The number of contractors in the market has increased from 91 to 187, and especially in the APC contract. Therefore, the customer mix is changing with more sophisticated semi-government clients that are growing most, where public institutions like Aramco, Public Investment Fund, PIF, and their own managed mega cities will form like 70% of the market, equaling to around $286 billion, and will witness greater growth with higher competitive intensity. The increased focus in the local content is a major change and a major game player while awarding contracts. The new local content norms has indicated 30% of total project value, okay, to the material procured locally, up from 12%. Another factor, labor cost, has witnessed and will continue to witness escalation in the short and to medium term, with challenges around illegal laborers. 20% of the laborers across Saudi Arabia, okay, they were illegal. Therefore, with the strict reinforcement of laws and having impact on the labor cost. Also, the country-wide quota of labor is getting enforced more strictly, leading to challenges in finding laborers. Conclusion here, bottom line. The landscape for the contracting business in Saudi Arabia has changed dramatically, where PC contracting is moving towards more of EPC, especially with the BOT, PPP privatization program. If we mirror the current changes to the local or the current situation of the market based on the recent Saudi Contractors Authority report, we have around 175,000 contracting companies. However, only 3.6% of this number between medium to large contracting enterprises, where the 96.4 are small and very small companies. Looking into this number, we found around 56% of the total contractors in Saudi Arabia are specialized only in buildings. However, when it comes to more of a specialized contracting business, only 27% can contribute to these types of businesses. Therefore, the outlook for the contracting enterprises goes into mergers and acquisitions. Otherwise, they're going to disappear. NCP, National Center for Privatization, has a long pipeline of projects. However, with limited number of large and medium enterprises, that's going to be a challenge. Where if the merger and acquisitions are not occurred and the contribution of foreign investors has not increased more dramatically in Saudi Arabia, the privatization plan will go into bottleneck. With that, I will finish here. And thank you for hosting me. It's been a great pleasure speaking at the Construction Week event, representing fast-growing group Al-Bawani, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibrahim, for that keynote speech. I think there were some very insightful points that you made there about the technical shift in the market and how the nature of contracting is changing in Saudi Arabia. And I think this is also the case for many other countries across the region. Now, as we move on to some thought-provoking discussions, we will now explore the opportunities that await companies who are looking to expand their businesses into Saudi Arabia in our first panel. Please join me with a big round of applause in welcoming our panelists in the first panel discussion today. We start with Engineer Nasser Al-Shawaf, Director and Board Member at Al-Bawani Contracting. Nasser has a long-standing track record in real estate sector in Saudi Arabia and the UK. Please put your hands together for Nasser, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, we are joined by Martin Dufresne, Partner and Design Principal at U+A. Martin co-founded U+A in 2007 and has been the driving force behind the company's tailored design approach. Welcome to the panel, Martin. And our final panelist for this session is Suhaib Hammad, Head of Commercial and IP Practice at Hammad and Al-Mehdar Law Firm. Suhaib focuses on the corporate and commercial matters, working with companies in media, technology, defense, and pharmaceutical industries. Please put your hands together for Suhaib, ladies and gentlemen.
Martin.
So gentlemen, it feels great to start the discussion today and talk about what awaits for companies entering the Saudi Arabia's construction market. But before we start the discussion, I would like to share some information here, and I'm sure most of you already know this. So from 2024, Saudi Arabia's government and state-backed entities will stop signing contracts with foreign companies unless their Middle East headquarters are going to be based in the kingdom. Now, with this in mind, let's begin our discussion by understanding from you, gentlemen, how is the region's construction sector reacting to this move? Let's start with you first, Martin.
We at U+A have actually embraced this opportunity, which is Yes, so it's an amazing opportunity coming in to really take a plunge into the, of course, the amazing opportunities and amazing sort of projects that are on offer here. It's also keeping the eyes on the prize in terms of what is the purpose for this. And it's understanding the objectives of the government to come in and wanting to have firms in the kingdom to be able to prosper and work together with the developers, with the contractors, to really just ensure that the mandate, which is stated into all these projects, is respected. We're not coming in to impose our own philosophies. We're really coming in to work with what is Saudi Arabia about, which is its heritage, its beautiful landscape, and by being here, I think is actually critical. It's quite crucial for that for that objective.
Very interesting point there about how you are coming into Saudi Arabia to embrace the change and to work with the construction sector in the region. Coming to you, Nasser, what are your thoughts about the new change that Saudi is going to embrace sooner? And how do you think will this be impacting the construction sector locally?
So Saudi Arabia of today is taking a much more holistic view when it comes to development. If I'm a major spender, then I need to make sure that it's impacting my economy positively. And this doesn't go only for companies that need to be relocated in Saudi. It even goes to my defense spending. If I'm a big spender in defense, then I need more of that spending to be trickled down into my economy. If I'm buying also manufacturing goods and what have you, pipes, transformers, this and that, then I need more of that to be produced locally, and thus you have the local content. So it's we no longer have this fragmented approach. We have a much more holistic, comprehensive view of development, which I believe is very healthy. And as a major spender in the region, I think it makes a lot of sense to call for parties that we're buying from to say, guys, you need to set up here and be closer to us. And you need to invest in training and human development. So I think it is sensible. We've been always portrayed as a sleeping giant. Perhaps we've woken up.
Very interesting to know that, and I think what you mentioned about local content is what also Ibrahim mentioned during his keynote speech. Now coming to you, Suhaib, it's also important to understand from a legal perspective, how is this going to impact the sector and obviously the broader business sector in Saudi Arabia. Could you shed some light on that?
Yeah, definitely. So what this is going to do is just make companies rethink their strategy of how they're entering the market. Especially in the construction sector, we've seen a lot of companies enter through setting up branches or temporary branches to just take on specific government projects. They bid while they're overseas, they enter the market, deliver the project, finish it, and leave. This new law or this new regulation is aimed towards actually keeping them here so that they would develop local talent, as engineer mentioned, that they would be training people as well on the ground and there's passive know-how. This is really, I think, one of the really positive things that would make changes. Perhaps also encourage collaboration and joint ventures with the local Saudi companies, because some of the hurdles that they will face is navigating through this market as a new beast, especially in taking new opportunities other than the specific projects that they came from. They would need to localize, have manpower, have branches across the kingdom to take on all of these new opportunities. So that shift will make them really think about how they want to structure for the long term rather than currently what they're doing sometimes for the short term.
If I may just add to that, I think it's absolutely true. We're experiencing as well in terms of our office, because we've established our office some time back, and we've worked with local professionals that are just really eager, very keen to work together and to learn and to really just improve on their skills, and us coming in and being as a group and as a one team is quite is very exciting. Local associates that we are working with us on many of our projects, and it's proving to be quite exciting, quite beneficial.
Yeah, but we don't all agree that collectively that this is only going to help the local content in Saudi Arabia, and is also going to be an exciting time for the kingdom now that most companies will start setting up their bases in Riyadh specifically.
I mean, I just want to note we're a very open economy. So we trade with most of the world. There are very limited restrictions of where you buy from and so forth and so on. And that worked to our advantage for a long time. However, we cannot just, wire funds and export capital. I think now there has to be more balance in the way we procure and we deal whether our trading partners or our neighbors.
Yeah, and I think I will be coming back onto the procurement model and how it's going to impact the supply chain. But before that, I think it would be very interesting to put a point here that all of these changes and transformation is only going to help Saudi Arabia for the economic transformation towards Vision 2030. And on that note, now we know that the industry is gearing up to embrace the new measures like Martin just mentioned. But can you tell us how are your companies planning to steer forward and win more contracts in not just the construction but the infrastructure sector as well? Let's start first with you, Nasser.
Yeah. Well, historically we were used to traditional government spending, a very simplified Ministry of Finance contract. It's a template. Now we have to go through hundreds of pages of very sophisticated contracts. So we definitely boosted our commercial capabilities, giving lawyers a lot of work now. So our legal is certainly ramped up. On the technical front, we moved from we need X quantity to actually, I don't care how many people you employ on this job, as long as you give me this particular performance. So now we move to more performance measured contracts, which is really great for the government. It's a very thoughtful and smart move. However, it is difficult for us to go through this change of how are you paid and how are you measured, how are you benchmarked. However, we're really catching up and trying to live to the leadership aspirations of how to reposition ourselves and how to continue to be active participants in the local economy. So yeah, the cost went up as mentioned by my colleague Ibrahim, and when your cost goes up, then you start looking at efficiency. How can I really boost the output of my workforce, my engineering team? The technical challenges also would push you for QA/QC, and so we employ probably the largest BIM team in the Saudi market. We invested in 3D laser scanning and various technologies and tools. It has become really more of a necessity rather than, I just have this cool thing, because we really need to push efficiency as much as possible, and the crack on illegal labor definitely impacted everyone. So then you have less pool of people to work with. COVID-19 as well had an impact. So all those factors were really pushing us to become more efficient, make the most use of everything we have. Funding is also a major issue. We need to ensure we have adequate resources, financial resources and means to cope with the growth. Because while the market is changing and we're into this transformational period, there has been a lot of activities as well, with all the PIF companies, Aramco changing a bit the way they procure as well. many new government initiatives, whether King Salman Park or what have you. They're all pushing and helping with this transformation.
Now, mirroring on what you just mentioned, Nasser, about efficiency and procurement models, I want to understand from you, Martin, how will this change, in terms of how U+A selects contracts and starts working with new projects in Saudi Arabia? What will it be for the company like?
We have quite a few contracts already, which are very important projects for us. There is a procurement sort of system in place, which is which is actually quite good to be working with such well set up kind of procurement methods. But just to kind of change a little bit of the subject here, just to add to in terms of how we were coming in and how our company is seeing the changes and the opportunities. From a sort of creative angle, and how we see it is that we're wanting to really just look at the most exciting, in my opinion, field, which is tourism. And tourism is absolutely new and has great opportunities. But as a creative, it's also an opportunity to work with what is here and really just help the country to enhance what it has to offer in terms of its nature, in terms of its culture. It's extremely rich, and we have an opportunity from coming from abroad with our sort of extremely talented minds of creativity and architecture, urban planning, to come in and then really understand what is this about and glorify it and really just bring it to its full potential. There's the vernacular, for example, which is very much at the source of what represents in terms of the urban fabric of Saudi that can be celebrated, that can be brought into projects such as what we're working on in the Red Sea. A lot of these mega projects of resorts and so on. They're bringing in some of the biggest brands coming from around the world. But these brands, these operators, really want to explore what is available here in terms of its vernacular, in terms of its urban fabric, and really express it through their.
And I think what you mentioned about exploring more opportunities in Saudi Arabia, many of the other companies who are international and are looking to move to Saudi will also like to take a note of that point there, Martin. Now I see you've been quiet for a while, Suhaib. So coming to you, I want to understand, what should companies that are looking to move their headquarters in Saudi Arabia be mindful of in terms of a legal perspective towards the sector? And what are some of the hurdles that they would foresee when they are working on these processes?
So from a legal perspective, we don't anticipate a lot of many new hurdles. If anything, there is a major wave of reform in a lot of regulations. So that's going to ease up a bit on some of the previously placed restrictions, whether on Saudization ratios. There's also talks now about exemptions from taxation requirements. We still don't know the clear guidelines around that, but it is soon to be published. So what I'm actually expecting is, with this mandate, that there will be a bit of easement, because two of the main challenges that face companies when they set up here was mainly the localization, finding the right talent, the right team leaders as well to take on the project. They usually use resources from regional offices or from their international offices, while the main company here remains operational in nature, but not really a regional player that has its own executive team to perform. So I think just placing those people, incentivizing them to be within the kingdom. It's always been kind of a social incentive that's been kind of tricky to bring expats to come and stay here. Other than the financial, of course, you might be looking at social entertainment. And I think this is really where the wave, maybe as Nasser mentioned, from a holistic standpoint, they try to create more of a bigger environment to attract, not just with this investment. And the foreign investment climate as well has always been open for the past 10 years, especially in the construction and contracting industry. It's been allowed to own it 100% foreign owned. It doesn't require a local partner. Even the capital requirements have gone much lower. The licensing costs have significantly gone lower. It used to be about 500,000 riyals just to get the foreign investment license about 5 years ago. Now it's gone down to about 60,000, which is kind of a significant licensing cost. And hopefully, I do hope that they do. I don't know if there's anybody here from Visa who would take this forward, but discussions to actually make the costs lower. Especially for companies of a medium size that are looking as well to enter the market. Because you want to attract all kinds, not just the mega companies and the mega corporations. But other than that, I don't expect there to be significant kind of hurdles moving forward.
I think that would be a good point for many of the companies who are watching us right now to note, how easy probably it would be for them when they are entering into the Saudi market and establishing their headquarters here.
Because the licenses, even issuing the foreign investment license now, could be done within about 5 business days, which previously used to take up to 10 or 12 months. So this, has significantly reduced access to the time it takes to access the market and to kick off operations.
Talking about regulations and taxations, we used to have the lightest tax jurisdiction in the world by far, and then we started introducing some taxes, which kind of we had to change the way we invoice and what have you to adapt to it. But still, even with the VAT and some other minor things here and there, we are still by far much simpler than most of the world when it comes to taxation. So just for the fact, just because we've added 1 or 2 things, it doesn't mean that we're a difficult place to conduct business in. I would add as well that when it comes to e-government and even the way the pandemic has been managed and the use of technology, I think we're one of the top countries in the world with the usage of e-government, and we really made leap jumps forward. From the way you used to carry a file and you have to do everything manual, 15 years ago, to now everything is electronic and almost instantaneous with AppShare and all the electronic government services. It's truly amazing.
Yeah. Just to add to your point there, Nasser, I know we've collectively have agreed that how this is going to improve the local content in the market, and how you just mentioned about the change and ease in rules is going to push this further. I want to know what will be different in terms of procurement methods, like when you're looking at attracting more workforce and you're also looking at getting more materials for your projects. So let's again come back to you, Nasser, on that, because you are a contractor, so you would probably be able to give us a better perspective into it.
In terms of procuring goods, that's still relatively easy. Clients now are looking and mandated actually to ask you where is your local content, while historically they just tell you those are the approved brands, go and procure them. And it's quite inconvenient for them as well, not only for us, possibly that, where is your local content? We have those forms to fill, and we need to ensure that we're meeting the 30% or what have you criteria of local content. But that's still manageable. I think the more bigger challenges really is developing local talents and local human capabilities really. That is, I believe, the biggest challenge. The government used to tell you, I need Saudization of 10% or 15%. And they were quite relaxed on how you go about achieving this. Hiring security guards, some technicians or what have you, and that's it. Now they're saying, no, that game is over now. You have to show me Saudization by profession. How many accountants you have? I need 30% of that. How many programmers? How many networking guys? How many legal professionals? How many engineers? So they've really become quite smart about how to calculate Saudization, which is painful to us, I have to admit. However, in the long term, this is really in the best interest of the country, because you need to create more sustainable organizations, and you must invest in training. So the government was very adamant that must be done, and you guys have to abide, and we're trying our best to cope with it.
When we talk about abiding by the rules, I know Martin, U+A employs multicultural, team. You have designers from across the globe as well as architects. But when you are coming into Saudi Arabia, how are you going to embrace the localization challenge, as Nasser just mentioned?
And it has been a point of discussion in the company for some time. But what we come to realize is that Saudi does have an eagerness from the young people coming out of school. They want to excel. They really want to practice and be able to contribute to their country, and that's what's exciting. And like Nasser was saying, it's about training. It's about just having the right people, the right setup, the right structure to be able to put that in practice. And it's been done for centuries. It's not rocket science. I mean, we can certainly work together in establishing those structures. But I'm actually excited to get local talent. I'm really excited. This is something that we're actually doing. One of the reasons also taking advantage of being in Riyadh these few days is to look around and look for local talent as well. And then coming from our side is to really just complement that desire that the local talent has, and us coming in to have a broader sort of outlook on how we create and how we develop these projects.
Very exciting point there about the eagerness of Saudi Arabia and how the country has a very interesting and exciting population of young generation who are taking the technology move forward as well. But I see, coming back to you, Suhaib, and bringing a little more legal perspective into the discussion, when this measure comes into effect in 2024, what kind of changes can we expect in contractual laws, especially for construction stakeholders?
So, I mean, the contractual laws themselves are not going to change. It's going to be the requirements for who can bid for these projects, who would be qualified to be entering these kinds of contracts. There has been an amendment to the procurement law. There's a new procurement law now that repeals the old one, with significant changes that, because we historically have had, as Engineer Bassam mentioned, it was a previous very simple template, and it was standard. Even the private sector used to use that as a basis for drafting their contracts. But now we're expecting these contracts to be a bit more sophisticated, a bit more practical in their approach, and hopefully to be balanced. Some of the key changes that differ from the previous one is the introduction of different methods of dispute resolution. So not just limiting it to court, but to also have venues of arbitration. Although arbitration will be restricted to arbitration within Saudi Arabia, it's still considered an advanced move ahead to have specialized arbitrators to decide on these issues, especially the construction and energy and infrastructure. We don't expect local judges to have the technical knowledge to address some of the issues, while they do have the legal knowledge. Some of these points would require to be goes to experts. So this is really what I would welcome as a change in a positive way. And also, there might be some exemptions to some of the procurement requirements, but until those guidelines will come out and implementing regulations, hopefully we do expect them to allow for more kind of companies to be part of this.
But reflecting back on what you just said, does that mean that will it be difficult for suppliers and subcontractors when it comes to entering the market, or will it be easier for them, with the change in regulations and procurement methods?
So, I mean, from my legal understanding, I do expect that subcontractors and suppliers may be able to come under an umbrella of a qualified contractor who would take the project, but it also would depend on the specific terms of that contract and how much of the project can be subcontracted, because there's limits on what could be subcontracted. Some might require consent from the authority that awarded the project. But I mean, relatively speaking, I think that could be managed in a way where it wouldn't be an extra hurdle, but definitely the subcontractors would not benefit in the same way unless they also had some kind of local presence and themselves be able to enter these projects with full force.
So coming to you, Nasser, do you think will this change in anyhow the way you secure, and the way you reach out to your supply chain, suppliers and subcontractors, say from 2024?
Well, I think we're trying to deal with everyone as partners now, because the market is not easy with all the new regulations, and I believe the capacity has shrunk as well since 2015-16. So it has been the survival of the fittest. So with the limited people we have now to deal with in steel fabrication or X or Y or Z areas, we kind of really engage with them at an earlier stage now, at tendering and estimation, and support them in order for them to support us. So I think there's also this feeling that we're all on the same level playing field. The level of transparency in the government and accountability has gone up so much. So everyone feels that they're being treated fairly in a way, and rules apply to this group but not to that. This is no longer the case. Rules apply to everyone. So the only way forward is really to accept, embrace, and see how can you deal with the ongoing challenges and cooperate with others. In the public-private partnership space, for instance, we are working with other groups, and you always, in every JV, you would find 2 or 3 groups all working together to place the bid. So it's no longer, oh no, I'm successful, I have some resources, I kind of want to eat the whole cake. No, it's time for us now to cooperate, to complement each other in how we conduct business.
And I think everyone deserves a piece of cake from that contractual agreement and early engagement as well, Nasser. Very well said there. But coming to you, Martin, and before I ask you my question, we know that it's a no-brainer that UAE has been a hub for many of the international companies, and they've traditionally preferred to base their headquarters in the country. Now, for a company like U+A, and I know you're headquartered in Dubai, although you are going to embrace these changes and you're really excited about it, do you think there will be any sort of changes for companies such as yourself and many other peers in the market?
Well, obviously, but I think it's a positive change. I mean, it's certainly not a negative change. It's more an opportunity for expansion. It's also an opportunity to because it's for all of us business owners, it's exciting to grow. It's exciting to start fresh, something different, something new. So this is part of the excitement of running a firm, and it's also about just seeing how different things can evolve here. You know, they can function, which is somewhat different from the UAE. But overall, I don't think it's an issue. I really don't think so. I think it's more of really a chance for companies coming, not just the UAE, but from abroad, to really just have an expansion sort of opportunity. But overall, we're the GCC at the end of the day. It's a big family, right? So we need to work together. Like we're saying, everyone works together. We work together in Riyadh. We work together in Saudi. We work together at GCC. This is really what it's all about. There's a lot of resilience coming out of these countries, and that is the foundation really of pushing forward, is that sort of history of reinventing themselves, like UAE, like Saudi, like all the GCC countries, of being able to identify what makes their sort of culture tick and really just grow from there and use this resilience from decades of expansion and experience as well, like experimental sort of expansion is quite exciting.
It's very interesting to know, and I think we will all agree that collaboration is obviously a key for the construction sector, but now with this measure it is also going to be a key for all of the countries to be working together towards a common goal. And I see that, Nasser, you also agreed to what Martin just said. What kind of opportunities are you looking forward to, when this measure comes into place, not just in 2024, but working with across all of your clientele across the region, because Bawani is a really big contractor in Saudi Arabia, and you work with so many stakeholders.
Yeah, but I just would want to comment on what Martin just said in terms of the complementary relationship between Saudi and our neighbors. I believe the leadership in the Emirates and especially Dubai deserve tremendous credit for raising the bar, raising the profile of the region. They really served as a catalyst for everyone to say, yeah, they did it, they attracted people, they built this, they built that, we should really try to catch up with them. So they did an excellent job in really appealing to many companies, firms from all over the world to base themselves here and cover the region. I believe now Saudi is saying, well, if I'm a substantial player and a major market in the region, I do deserve to get part of that economic activity as well. And the way I'm looking at it is really more of a complementation. Now, China is a major buyer and producer in Asia. Hong Kong exists, Taiwan exists, and Singapore exists, and each one of them has its own way of adding value and contributing to the regional economy. And I believe we're gonna reach some level of equilibrium here, where perhaps smaller firms can set up in the Emirates, but ones with more substantial operations and production facilities and what have you would probably be based in Saudi. So I think we need to look at how can we together build a stronger regional economy where each economy can get its share of its let's say contributions and economic power and activity. In terms of how we're looking at capitalizing on this, we are inviting many companies to come and join us here, whether in a form of a JV on a single project or cooperating in a long-term partnership. So we keep an open mind of how to work with those firms. But we're certainly encouraging many of them, even if there's no particular partnership, please come because we will be buying from you. We need the expertise of specialist firms in various domains, and we kind of always guide them to whether good law firms to work with and provide them any kind of on-the-ground support. And we might tell them, if you set up here, by the way, we have this project and we will be awarding you part of it.
Very excited to know that. And I think I will hold on to your point there also about how it would be a complementing in nature for the construction sector. And reflecting on that, Suhaib, I want to understand, obviously this is going to impact the economic transformation of Saudi Arabia. How will this boost the agendas and goals that we are aiming for, towards the Saudi Vision 2030?
So I mean, definitely by localizing these projects, by localizing these companies and their presence within Saudi Arabia to cater for the project. I mean, PIF, as everybody knows, is looking to inject about 3 trillion riyals into these mega projects, into these new economic cities. While having these companies, there's going to be an increased demand. The population is very growing, it's a young population. There's a lot of demand for housing, a lot of demand for new projects, new areas even. The big cities are becoming over-clustered. So having more and more players to assist with this will really drive the local economy, even help those companies to help the government achieve its own targets. I think it's going to be a very great boost. It will be adding a positive impact. And at the same time, filling that gap, so there will never be more demand than supply. I think it will be overall quite balanced as it grows. And the more companies that will start slowly coming into the region, whether by force of this law or those who have historically been here. There's a number of companies that have already been in the region for quite some time, and they're only expanding their own presence, relocating their headquarters. I mean, I think one of the points I want to comment on is what's still not clear to us, even from a legal standpoint, is what does relocating your headquarters actually mean? Some companies do have quite a significant presence, but what do they need to do to meet this criteria? This is really where we're looking for clarification from the guidelines to be able to set that. It might not be that, I expect that it is an achievable requirement, an achievable way to do this, where you can meet the requirements to legally be considered to have a headquarter without it being burdensome on the company itself in terms of capitalization or local talent. So we do hope that, with some clarity that will come in the coming months, we will be able to give a better view on this. And hopefully a lot of companies will find it quite easy to actually fall within that perspective of what is considered a local headquarter within Saudi Arabia.
That's actually a question that we have as well. It's really good to get some clarity.
It's something that everybody's wondering about.
Yeah.
Because I mean, a lot of companies have significant presence here. Does it mean just if you have your C-suite executives sitting in Saudi rather than Dubai, does that already qualify you or not? And I think that's really what we want to understand as well.
I think while we are awaiting a clarity on the new measures, we can collectively say that it is going to be a positive change, not just for Saudi Arabia, but for entire region as well as for the construction stakeholders. Now I am a bit conscious of time here, so I would like to wrap our discussion today and understand from each one of you on what are your final comments and thoughts about this change, and how transformative do you think will this be, and how achievable will this be in the future? Let's start with you first, Shawaf.
Just to add to what I just mentioned, I do think it is quite achievable, especially in the current legislative climate. The laws all around are being updated and changed to accommodate for this. So it is a much more welcome, positive impact all around. Whether it is achievable or how strictly it will be applied, 2024, in my view, might be too soon to strictly implement this rule, but I think, we will see that it will be a beginning of the implementation, slowly, gradually into that. It may start with companies that have a presence here, whether a branch or a subsidiary that are already established, that could qualify for certain government projects, and then slowly kind of narrow that focus with time. Because I don't expect that it would be very strict as to completely limit access to the local market to only companies that have their headquarters here, and other companies, all of them that are operating foreign companies, would be able to achieve this within the next 2 to 3 years. So I don't imagine it's achievable by timeline, but it is achievable gradually. And as we get more clarity, hopefully we'll be able to implement it in a much better way.
Nasser, would you also agree to what Suhaib said, that this is only going to be achievable gradually and not in a strict timeline?
Yes, however, looking from the government track record of how fast things have been moving, I would expect that things will be very swift. The level of kind of discipline and pace has been stunning and has been really difficult to catch up with. Having said that, I believe that there is a party going on and a new one with a new set of rules. And if you need to get your share of the bonanza, then you need to play with those new rules. And I think you need to be genuine about them and embrace whatever directive and vision the government has set out. Because if you try to be too smart, trust me, there are many government officials I know that are of high caliber, and they would know how to tighten the rules and get you to move in the right direction. So yeah, there has been a transformational period. Has not been easy for many of us. However, we've got hit with the COVID as well. I remember toward the end of 2019, things were going incredibly well, and then unfortunately the whole world had to kind of take a hit with COVID. Now, fortunately, I feel things have resumed and are picking up again, and there will be plenty of work for everyone, as long as you will play with the new rules, and you will be cognizant of the new market landscape.
Yeah. Do you also are going to be playing to the rules, Martin?
Absolutely, and I'm not too nervous about the speed of things. I mean, certainly after 15 years in the region, I've seen my fair share of speed, and it's adaptable. We're there to really just jump in, but it has to be done smartly. It has to be done with care. It can be fast, but it has to be done with a lot of diligence. But we're there to contribute. I mean, we see a lot of the PIF projects that we're involved in are going at fast pace, and we're certainly coming in to move along as fast as it needs to go. And just looking at the number of projects in the future as well, it's certainly something that we're able to support. So it's exciting. I have no issue with the changes and how fast they're happening.
Very exciting, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today for this panel discussion. I think moving on from here, I and probably everyone in the industry would only take two important points in mind. It has to be a holistic approach, and the embracement of the change should be smart enough for the entire sector. And on that note, thank you once again. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now that was a very exciting panel, ladies and gentlemen, and as I said, the approach is going to be holistic, but embracing the change in the right way is going to explore more opportunities for the entire sector and for the construction stakeholders, not just across the region, but globally as well. Now I hope that the first panel discussion has cleared a lot of questions and myths that you might have had about the measure, which is soon to come in place in the kingdom. But now we'll be looking at a sort of entertainment projects that are going to transform, or I would say that are actually transforming Saudi Arabia's construction landscape. And to start off our panel discussion, I would like to first invite Kostas Dimitros, Business Development Director at Parsons. Kostas is responsible for the strategic growth of Parsons in the Middle East and Africa region. Please put your hands together for Kostas, ladies and gentlemen. Also joining us on the panel discussion this morning for the entertainment projects is William Hitch, Regional Director for KSA at Compass Project Consulting. In his role, William continues to strengthen Compass's multi-sector construction foothold across the region. Please give it up for William, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before we start our session, gentlemen, we know that all eyes are now on Saudi Arabia with the massive development of entertainment projects, whether it's innovative rides, multi-sporting events, even cinema construction for that matter. So keeping this in mind and taking our conversation to a kickstart, I want to understand, most importantly from you both, how are these projects changing the face of the kingdom's entertainment sector? Let's start first with you, Kostas.
Thank you, Ranju. Yeah, it is indeed very important that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is investing a lot in the entertainment sector, mainly because of as a transformation of the economy, as a means to social change, and of course, don't forget that the main contributor to the vision of the Ministry of Tourism, that by 2030 to have a 10% contribution to the kingdom's GDP. It's a very ambitious but reasonable target. We've seen also the kingdom PIF investing last year to Live Nation, the biggest entertainment company in the world, where they're making major events around the globe. when we see events and projects like Diria, already hosting events like the Bricks, the Season, Diria Seasons, Diria Music Festival, and more events to come in the near future with the Grand Prix, obviously, etc., until the permanent Formula 1 track. So the momentum is there, and Saudi Arabia is trying to create a stage to have all these events, and I think they're creating the largest stage by either doing greenfield developments like the one of its kind Qiddiya and the Entertainment City, or a rollout of smaller projects, smaller in size than Qiddiya, but big projects to do sevens to focus on specific areas within the kingdom. So the whole entertainment stage is being transformed, and the spotlight is here.
Yeah. Talking about the transformative nature and how there is more momentum in the market, I would like to also understand from you, William, what is your perspective on this change, and how do you think will this impact from a construction stakeholder perspective?
Well, it's a massive change because there wasn't really a huge entertainment sector before.
Yeah.
So there was a few theme parks, smaller, old-fashioned theme parks, but really there wasn't really much to go with. So it's kind of a blank canvas, to be honest. And you've got a huge demand for exciting and innovative projects. You've got a very young, dynamic population. You've got goals of 2030 to be less oil sufficient, and so all of that is creating this kind of, this, like I said, this blank canvas to create an amazing sector, and the best sector. You could, with the innovation of the world at the moment, and some of the rides and the themes and some of the themed environments that people are creating, you could create a brand new sector and be the best in the world. So it's just creating an amazing amount of opportunities for people in the market, and it's a very exciting place to be honest.
Now, understanding from you on what you said about a blank canvas, and this is only going to boost the entire sector and stakeholders to start drawing on the blank canvas. And I know this is again going to support Vision 2030 agenda when it comes to the national transformation plan for Saudi Arabia. But I want to understand from both of you all, gentlemen, how is this going to boost collaboration with developers, when you start working on such entertainment projects? Let's understand from you first, Kostas.
Thank you, Ranju. It's two sectors, I would say. Construction sector has been benefiting and developers. As we see all these big giga projects,
yes,
need the first level of investment in infrastructure, develop and upgrade of the transportation, create all the means for these projects to flourish. So the construction sector within the kingdom has been traditionally, this is the core competence. We heard also in the previous panel how most of the contracts have been going to the local construction market. We see in the again almost 100% of the first contracts, diesel contracts, have been going to the local contractors. As a second tier, we see collaboration. We heard also from Bawani that in PPP and BOT, because all these projects, of course, some of them due to the remoteness, they need new utilities, so investments in water, investments in power generation, in green energy, bring together developers, finance institutions, and local construction companies to provide these services to the projects, so that they kick off. But also the local developers, the South developers, but I would also say the regional developers have seen the market as an opportunity. The Kingdom and the PAF companies have created a very healthy competitive environment with all these mega developments. So I believe that the private developers also find these grounds to provide ideas in order sometimes either to compete or co-invest in these large developments.
Yes. Talking about a competitive approach, in the construction sector, I want to understand from you, William, when we talk about collaboration and a competitive approach towards the sector, what will it mean for companies such as Compass Project Consulting, when they are working on entertainment projects in Saudi Arabia?
Well, I suppose it's about opportunities, really. I mean, we came into the market because of it in many ways. You know, I started off on entertainment projects in my career before Compass. Dubai Mall Aquarium, Singapore Grand Prix with the Formula One for many years, and that kind of created that entertainment knowledge and experience. And then when we set up the business in 2013, the change in law to create cinemas in this country at the beginning of 2018 gave us that opportunity to really get into the market. We were here already, but it really gave us an opportunities, and since then we've done 19 cinemas and we've got another 9 in construction at the moment. So just as an example of how companies like ours or contractors and suppliers can get a good foothold into the market and grow from it, to be honest, and have experience, and also experience across the country, because entertainment projects aren't just going to be focused in Riyadh or Jeddah or the Red Sea. They're going to be, you know, the population demands entertainment across the whole country. So, you know, cities like Tabuk, or you know, we've done cinemas in Oneza at the moment, Paredes opened last month. So, you know, all of these towns and cities all need the same entertainment. They all have children that need to go to certain places. They all need cinemas. They need this stuff. So it allows people to develop across the country as well as just in the major cities. So it's all about opportunities, to be honest. And also improving supply chains, contractor abilities, all about getting, you know, best in class, which is what Saudi needs to strive towards.
Yeah. Now with more demand comes more need, and that is what you just mentioned. So coming to you, Kostas, do you also foresee a lot of sizable opportunities for Parsons across Saudi Arabia when it comes to entertainment projects?
Of course. We already involved in some of the major programs like Adira Gate and Kidiya. We see, and others, we see a lot of investment in these regards. For example, in Al-Diriyah Gate, we are the PMC for the sidewalk infrastructure, making sure utilities are there, the connections with the western part of Riyadh is there. The PMO that we're running for Kidiya also give us this opportunity. So yes, we see a lot that the momentum is continuing. We're reviewing these opportunities and we'll put our best efforts to win more.
Yeah, and would we all agree that this is obviously an exciting time for the entertainment sector in Saudi Arabia, and the momentum is only going to take this leaps forward. Now coming back to you, William, I want to understand, Compass Project Consulting is very extensively working on entertainment projects across the region, and Saudi Arabia forms a major part of your work culture as well. So what kind of opportunities are you looking forward to, including the projects that you're already working on?
Well, we've got to try and grow organically. So looking for opportunities that suit what we do, but also the right opportunities that fit our needs, and working with the right clients, to be honest. We're a small to medium-sized consultancy, so we need to be careful who we work with and what we're doing. So, you know, we look for frameworks with clients to get relationships there, so we can deliver multiple projects, improve the projects as we go, and try and bring change to like I said, to be best in class. But there's countless opportunities, but you've got to make sure the opportunities are right for you as a company, and also that, you know, the client is right for you.
And I think I would like to reflect a point from what we discussed in our first panel discussion. It is obviously about embracing change, but when it comes to opportunities, we have to look at it from an organic perspective, and I think you put that very rightfully, William. Now coming to you, Kostas, you just mentioned about how Parsons is involved with the Riyadh Gate project, but I also know that you're working with Kidiya. How different has the experience been working on both of these projects?
That's a very good question. Traditionally, Parsons have been in the region for more than half a century, and we have, especially in the kingdom, we have been developing projects for the industrial sector, for the transportation sector. So the entertainment sector, it's a new sector for the kingdom to be developed, not new for us, obviously. And the challenges are different. You try to, the size of the projects, the uniqueness of the projects, the sustainability and the environmental aspects around all these projects in order to manage them and deliver and provide these guidelines to the supply chain, to the other consultants, to the constructors. As a program manager, is a challenge. It is a challenge. You have to Gate, for example, is the largest heritage city in the world, where the lifestyle destination looking with heritage. Qiddiya, unique, the largest entertainment city in the world with a combination of sport, e-gaming and other facilities. This never have done before in the past. So although the fundamentals of managing and programming and delivering such a project remains, the uniqueness, I think, of these deliveries is what makes the challenge different from the other opportunities we work so far.
Yeah, and I think only the uniqueness and the scale of this project is definitely going to ramp up the economic transformation, working towards Vision 2030 agenda. Now I see you are smiling there, William, and I want to come back to you and understand about a very unique project that Compass Project Consulting delivered earlier this year, which is the OSS Riyadh in North Hama. Would you like to tell us more about that project and the challenges?
Yeah, well, that was very unique in many ways. You probably think it's exciting, but when anyone says the word exciting to a project manager, that just means nightmare most of the time. But yeah, no, that was a unique one, but very Saudi in many ways as well. But yeah, we got taken out to the desert by one of our framework clients we work with a lot, and showed them an area of the desert and said, this is what we're being asked to do by the entertainment authority. And we said, it's crazy, you can't do that in 21 days, 25 days, you just can't do it, it's impossible. Got in the car, went back to the office to try and workshop it. On the way home, it was already tweeted that we were doing it. So we, when you get tweeted like that, you have no choice. So the client and I had to take the job on. But yeah, it was incredibly tough. We had to basically build 3 new buildings in the space of 3 weeks from nothing. So yeah, we did it in about 5 weeks in the end. But it was incredible because we were installing steel on concrete that was still wet. It was like that. Designing stuff on the hoof. We had to use everything from local sources with international brands, which was very difficult. And as you bring the project program down below a certain level, you're going to affect cost and you're going to affect quality.
Yeah.
So it's all about trying to minimise that effect to the quality and minimise the overspend on a project when you're doing it so quickly. So yeah, massive challenge, but it was really successful. It was just a bit of a shame that the country went into lockdown about 30 days after it opened again. But I'm hoping they'll do it again and everyone can enjoy it because it was really great.
Yeah, and why not? It's in the middle of the desert, so I'm sure that everyone wants to come there and see what it looks like and how fascinating it's going to be. But coming back to what you mentioned about, an exciting project could be a nightmare, it reminds me of what one of our panelists said at Leaders UAE Summit last week, that challenges are always exciting because it pushes you, to work towards a new change. And talking about change, how different was it working on the Triple Bay project, for Parsons, when you started working on it for Amala, one of the Giga projects, again in Saudi Arabia?
Exactly, another unique project that brings unique challenges. The uniqueness about this is the remoteness of the site and also the natural environment. So in such a place where the infrastructure is not there, the accommodation is not there, challenges into the supply chain have to be managed. PF has done a great job of staffing these great programs with leaders, the national and local talent. So leaders and professionals that think outside the box. So the engagement between Parsons and Amala was was like a partnership, I would say, because you need to allow the consultant and the contractor to think outside the box.
Yes.
In usual contracts, as you know, the consultant takes the risk of mobilization. At this stage, we sat down with the client, we reviewed our deployment plan, they put their accommodation supply to see when we can move the people in the right moment. So there's an alignment in the process. In addition, you're building in an environment where the PMC for the infrastructure, the daily works, in the natural environment, which, as you see in Amala, they have announced marine life institutes. Yes. So you have to be very protective, and you have to manage contractors that moving a lot of cubic meters of sand, and so you have to again think outside the box, find the methods that don't interrupt the environment, modular construction, the use of materials. So such projects are unique on this side, and very excited to be part of these programs.
Yeah, I think the uniqueness comes in about when you said, it includes a lot of new changes, adopting technology, adopting BIM, safeguarding the entire site, working with sustainable measures in place. That would be really exciting, and we are looking forward to knowing more about the project, as and when you progress on later stages. But talking about entertainment sector, when the cinema ban was lifted in 2016 in Saudi Arabia, that created a massive amount of demand, need and supply. And I think Compass Project Consulting has tapped on that demand very well, and you've been aggressively working on some projects. Would you like to tell us about that?
Well, the supply has been very difficult for those type of projects. Yeah, it was a learning curve at the beginning. Contractors were learning, everyone was learning. The first few we did in 2018, I think it was, 19, I can't remember now. So long ago, feels like it. The supply chain was difficult, and we got into a bit of a sweet spot where we were getting it right, and then COVID hit, made it even harder. So, but yeah, the supply chain, the knowledge, the understanding of projects like that has been tough. Making sure that you don't all have your eggs in one basket from a supply chain or a contractor point of view. That's bitten us on a couple of projects and delayed things a little bit. So yeah, I think that it's getting a lot better now. It's been a challenge over the last few years. Even if you didn't have COVID, it would be a challenge. But there's just so much work involved in it. It's difficult at the moment. And the gentleman from Bawani mentioned before, in terms of the contractors and having enough people and having enough labourers and skilled labourers to do the projects that we're all trying to do at the moment. It's very difficult, and probably the biggest challenge moving forward is actually delivering the projects with the people that we have, the resources we have, and that's where the biggest challenge is moving forward for this country.
Coming to you, Kostas, I know Parsons has not been involved so much in cinema construction, but talking about entertainment projects and the legacy that you've carried forward in Saudi Arabia, what kind of challenges have you faced as a consultant, when you're bidding on such big projects like the Riyadh Gate, Qiddiya and Amala for that matter?
Every project and every program has its own challenges, obviously. Yes, I would agree that having the talent to bring the national and local talent is a big challenge because many projects of their size happen at the same time. But we have a big talent management program to identify local talent, to train, because this will be the professionals that will run these projects in the future. So this is, but we try to complement this with our regional and international expertise, obviously. Yeah. We have been running projects with Disney for many years, for example. We have a big source of there. We just delivered part of the delivery for Expo in Dubai. So talent for us is very important. This is what grows our business organically, and what it gives back to the uniqueness of these projects in Saudi Arabia. This is, I think, the nature of challenge we're facing. It's an opportunity, always after challenge is an opportunity for growth, for restructuring, and for re-strategizing and moving forward, and strengthening our position.
That's very interesting to know, and I see you were also smiling when Kostas was mentioning this point. But I just want to understand from you as well, William, since you mentioned that when you were working on the OSS Riyadh project, It was a very short timeline that you had, which means that the training that you had put in place for people to be involved in the project must have been aggressive. What was it like to work with the local talent there?
The local temple, all of the team, it was very much a collaborative approach. For that kind of project, that kind of timeline, it's very difficult to stick to any kind of procurement processes that you might have in place that we normally work with, or any governance that any client might have internally as well. So you have to kind of create a team which works in a very collaborative manner and will all work for the project. The obvious issues with that are cost management later down the line, because you're building stuff before you've priced it. But yeah, the idea is just to get to create a team that all works together with a good harmony, and that was the only reason that project got over the line. In terms of talent, it was just basically trust. It was awarded based on trust, and having a contractor that trusted the client would pay them at the end, having a client that trusted the contractor would deliver it, and having people on board that would honour their obligations. Yeah, so that was the only way you could get that done.
Yeah, that's right. And with projects of such scale, as you mentioned, cost management can sometimes be a challenge as well. Looking into the capex and opex and making sure everything falls in the right place. For a consultant like Parsons, Kostas, when it comes to these kind of challenges, how do contractors approach these challenges, and how do you work with them again in a collaborative manner, to make sure that there is no downtime and you are not spending more on the project?
Of course. This is the basics of the program of project management. We have the clients have a budget, they have a delivery schedule. Of course, the program is a live organism. Different perspectives, different ideas will come into play. Everything are welcome. As long as the client and the consultant work hand in hand to make sure that this collaborative approach is there, I think the rest of the supply chains will follow. And we need to see the projects, again, they're unique and they're huge in scale. We have to see them as an opportunity to find different ways. We legislated in the previous panels about different ways of procurement, different ways, early contractor engagement, different ways unique ways to approach these projects. We do that, we sit with the client, we see, as I said, for BAF, and not the BAF clients, we work on a very, very client consultant approach, where as a collaborative, we strive for the best of the project. And this is important. The message has been passed and is being passed with the contractors. Challenges are there, but as I said, the challenges are to be overcome, and better ways to deliver this project. So it is a new era, and this era, these projects deserve these new approaches in all the procurement delivery.
That's very exciting, and I think don't we all also agree on the fact that this new era is only going to put Saudi Arabia on the world tourism map? And on a very strong note, I would also like to wrap this discussion because I'm conscious of time here, but I want to understand on a final note from each one of you, with so much happening in the entertainment sector in Saudi Arabia, you wouldn't want to miss out on anything. You want to be working in every aspect and in every manner. So how are you looking forward into the future and embracing new methods and new technologies and grabbing more projects, if I may say?
Yeah, well, obviously growth is key, and you've got to grow in the right way. But I mean, the entertainment sector will continue to grow. We, like you said before, the amount of work that needs to be done in order to create what they want to do is incredible. But it'll just continue to grow anyway, because the entertainment market is constantly evolving. I mean, the innovation that's coming out in terms of children's themed environments and different rides and and everyone wants to have something new, and you have to be new, you have to be innovative to grow. And so it's just constantly going to be changing. It's a market that will never go down as long as the country stays in this trajectory. So in terms of grabbing new projects, it's, again, like we said before, it's taking the right projects at the right times that you can do successfully, and not taking too much on. That's the kind of the question that needs to be done. But the entertainment, for us and for other companies, it's the entertainment sections. It's more sections of bigger projects is what is exciting for us. We're doing a lot of work in much larger projects than just entertainment at the moment. But the entertainment for us and our experience in entertainment and that type of project gives us a little bit of a KSP for winning some of the larger projects and delivering some of the larger projects with our experiences. So that's kind of what we're focusing on.
Yeah, and what about you, Kostas? How is Parsons reacting to this, and what are you looking forward to in the future for entertainment projects in the construction sector?
No, I would agree with William. The momentum is here, it's unprecedented. I mean, we discussed before, it is in line with the transformation that's happening in the kingdom. It is in line of the enhancement of tourism, and of course creating jobs for the Saudi nationals, because all these events and projects in the entertainment sector growth will only help the local, regional and international tourists to come to the kingdom. So, but most of all, it brings the kingdom in the constant spotlight, if I use this term, or hosting these international major entertainment events. We would argue that the past year the entertainment sector due to COVID has been impacted. But traditional nations that were hosting such events still struggle with tourists coming to the country, with lockdowns, with even funding these events. Saudi Arabia came out with a strategy. We have already set the basis for these events. It's creating the stakes to host them. So I think it's a great opportunity to winter against all these other nations and host all the major events here. So the vision is there, and Parsons is only aligned with this vision. We're investing a lot in the kingdom for many years, but recently we've reached almost 1,500 professionals in the kingdom. We're bringing more and more professionals because we see this drive and want to align with this drive. But I would like to repeat again, it's not only international professionals, the local talent, the local market, the training, the future project managers and leaders of these projects and these programs have to come from this market. And we need to support and leave this legacy for the generations to come. 2030 beyond, I would say.
Yeah, very exciting to know that. And like, as you leave the legacy behind, and as Saudi Arabia is in a spotlight right now, I would like to close the panel by saying that the sun is only shining bright on the entertainment sector in Saudi, and we are really excited to see where this takes the country forward. On that note, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on this panel discussion. It was really exciting having you with us.
Thank you very much.
Now, those were some intriguing insights about the entertainment sector in Saudi Arabia. Now, at Construction Week, we have been constantly covering about entertainment projects in the kingdom, and we are as excited to see where the sector moves forward and understand how stakeholders in the region are tapping on the opportunities. Now, on that note, we've reached the halfway point for our Leaders in Construction KSA Summit. And now we'll take a 30 minutes break so that you all can catch up with each other, have an interesting networking session, enjoy your coffees, and then we will see you back here in some time. Thank you so much once again to all our panelists. Please give them a big round of applause.